And welcome back to the Going for Two podcast. This is Christopher Magnuson along with Cody Kugler. We are live in the Embeck Magnuson Bar and Grill. It is a snowy Sunday morning, 20-something degrees. It looks like we're getting 10 inches of snow on Wednesday. In Lansing, it was 75 degrees yesterday. So,
Take me back to EL.
Yeah, welcome back. Welcome back, everyone. Cody, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great.
Excellent day. Great week. Great week down in Lansing.
Great week.
For the UP teams, but, they showed up and they got down there, and as the opportunity and experience, of course, get down there. And I say we kind of go back in time and start Tuesday, I think, with the quarterfinals, and then kind of move forward and see what we got. The MHSA finals concluded yesterday. 4 state champions were crowned. The 3 UP teams that made it down were Crystal Falls, Westwood, and Kingsford. All 3 of them won on Tuesday. We'll start with Westwood, closest team. First of all, congratulations, Luke Gray, on a great year. Tremendous year as far as, maximizing what that team had and utilizing the strengths of it to the utmost. I thought they were great this year.
I thought so too. I thought, looking at the games, leading up to the semifinals, their game against McBain was a brawl.
It was a brawl. It was. They got out to the big lead early. McBain came back. They're up by 3 at one point, and Westwood really closed the game strong, winning by 8. And that you can tell that dedication in the weight room, that physical toughness, kind of shone through with that game.
And the willpower. Seeing Miller in foul trouble early that game.
Yeah.
And then, when he had 4 in the 4th, he kind of torched McBain.
Yeah. Well, then, the other thing is their bench was outstanding that game. I thought Riddle was good. I thought Salzweidel was really good playing in that game. And, the zone was really effective against McBain. And it was a big win for Westwood. And, they did get on to the semifinals with that. And that was, a great accomplishment. But yeah, I thought the physicality in their bench won that game for him. Well, of course, Ethan Marta too. He had 27, I do believe.
Yeah, I had 27.
27. So, yeah. So Westwood won on Tuesday. Kingsford had a nice win on Tuesday as well. They looked really good for the finals and in the also in the regional finals last week, but the quarterfinals, they looked really good. I watched most of that. They defended very well.
They did.
Yeah.
I would agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Just the physicality and the size of the quarterfinal game. They were just definitely in charge, and their guard play really took over in the end.
Yeah, and their guard play really carried them all year. And, congratulations, Ben Olsen, on a great year. But yeah, their guard play and, the way to defend on the perimeter really makes teams have to do, you play out of your comfort zone. We always talk about that as a coaching staff, making the other team play out of their comfort zone. Kingsford was very good at that. So they moved on. They played Romulus Summit in their semifinals. In the Division 4 quarterfinal, Crystal Falls beat Pickford on a last-second shot.
Yeah, within the last seconds.
Yeah.
Pickford advanced it, missed a 3.
Yeah.
And Forest Park got to advance. That was a physical game.
Well, Pickford, 8-man football, they were very good.
Mm-hmm.
They were physical. They were a state finalist in 8-man football. I think that carries over quite a bit. In that, we always talk about multi-sport athletes. I think the physicality of, football helps you in basketball. And we're going to get into what happened in the semifinals in a minute, but it's a different game downstate. It's officiated significantly different. It's much more physical. If anyone watched the East Lansing Orchard Lake St. Mary's game, that was a football game.
Yes.
It was. And, up in the Upper Peninsula, we're so accustomed to, hand check fouls and, it's a different game of physicality when you go down there. And, I think at times it's tough for the teams from the Upper Peninsula to adjust to that.
Yeah, and not only to adjust to that, people don't realize, and we can attest to it, the gym's bigger.
Yeah, the gym is bigger.
So your
college floor,
your ability to cover ground, you have to have that included in the game plan, and that might have impact just some legs later on in the game, and also just the shooting. It's an open gym.
Yeah, it is an open gym.
It's not a high school brick gym.
Yeah,
it's right there.
I mean, some high school gyms, like even Nagani, which hosts quarterfinal games religiously, doesn't have, the background's a wall versus the stands at the Breslin, where
And if you're not dialed in, you're seeing through the backboard and into the stands.
Yeah,
up to the top bowl.
Yeah, so all three Upper Peninsula teams. That was awesome to go down there and see three teams advance to semifinals. We'll get into the semifinals. We'll start with obviously the first game on Thursday was Westwood against A&T, Arts and Technology.
Mm-hmm.
They had, watching film prior to that, I mean, the one thing I will say about all these teams in the finals is they have good guards for the most part. They're very, teams have bigs, but you need someone to get the ball. And I feel like, a lot of these teams have quick, tough, and guards. And, A&T had the Hicks brothers. They had transfers from Detroit Pershing, Flint Beecher. It's kind of a charter school, which is kind of the new private school in the state of Michigan. Yeah, the new wording of a private school in the state of Michigan. My thing is I thought Westwood had to have a good start, which didn't happen. I thought that they would have to handle their guards from a defensive aspect, and their guards played very well. And Westwood, I thought Westwood was, they played hard. In that situation, you always need a good start, and the other thing is for every team that goes down there, and I can attest to this playing way back in 1990, you can watch film, you can simulate stuff in practice until you see that speed and athleticism in person. That's when it's hard to adjust. And the biggest thing is like, if you watch, teams that aren't accustomed to seeing that, what happens? It's normal from a body function standpoint where your brain starts playing faster than your body.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't make great decisions, and you're focused on shooting and layups and different things like that. And that's the one thing I will say. Westwood missed a couple layups early on. Mm-hmm. That really could have helped them early on. But it's just, A&T's, they're the better team.
They are. I mean, pound for pound, player for player, they are absolutely. I'll absolutely test. You sound like a broken record, but you're absolutely right. You have to start out strong, and whether it's finding, I'll give a shout out right now. When we were down there, when Nagani was with Dan Waterman, I'll never forget his first play from a set was like his best play.
Yeah,
just to get a good first opening basket.
Yeah,
because you don't know if that's your mentality, like you just said. You can simulate it in practice, you can watch it on film, but until you get on the court, get to your bread and butter as quickly as possible,
right?
So your kids can ease into it and get some confidence at the beginning of the game, because that was essentially all three UP teams.
Yeah, I mean, it's Westwood started, and they kind of found their ground and they hung around, but then you're facing a deficit right away, and that's huge, because the other thing is, the one thing I'll say watching like the games this weekend, the teams that got leads early on, they know they could hold it with their guard play. Mm-hmm. It's like we watched who was the Kingsford game I watched. Mm-hmm. I mean, Romulus Summit Academy just started playing keep away once they got by like 12 points. Mm-hmm. I mean, they space it out. They make you come out to them to guard them. And yeah, it's just a different.
Then it turns into a 5-on-4.
Yeah, it turns into 5-on-4. And, and that's the thing. It's like, teams, players from around here that, have college aspirations, this is where you watch these games. That's the next level. I mean, some of these kids are D2 mm-hmm. kids. Some of these kids are community college kids that are playing against. That's where the next level is. So, yeah, I mean, for Westwood, it's just, and then once you have to make that run, once you're down by 12, I think some desperation sets in. You force some shots, and, the thing can snowball in a hurry. And, trust me, I've been there. Saginaw Novell went on a 19-0 run against us. It just happens. And, that's what happened with the first semifinal game. And,
the positive I will go with Westwood is, talking about it while we were down there, there's a very good opportunity for Westwood out of all three of these teams to make a return.
Yes.
In Division 3.
Yeah, I agree. I think Westwood has a great chance. I think, we talked to Sam last week. I think Menominee has a chance, and,
everybody else is kind of.
Yeah. I mean, you never know what's going to happen, but, I think that, both those teams have a chance. Kingsford's JV is really good. They're losing a ton of seniors. But yeah, I think that some of these teams have a chance. The second semifinal game was Ann Arbor, Gabriel Richard, and Powamo. And, Powamo, I thought, did some nice stuff. They're physical, but the guard play for Gabriel Richard is just so good. I mean, they have two kids that are just studs.
It was a day late and $1 short. Yeah, they just throughout the game. They just feel it. I mean, they made their runs, but whatever they did, it just never really phased.
No, I mean, I think they cut it to like 9 a couple times. And, Pawamo's that classic, we're good in every sport kind of school, football, basketball, whatever. They have big kids, farm kids out in, west of Lansing. I thought they did some nice stuff, but the guard play for Gabriel Richard was just phenomenal. They did, they hit shots, they attacked the basket when they had to. Their two guards, number 1, number 3, were just unbelievable.
Very unbelievable. But shout out to Powamo as well, because that's a team where you would always have their name in the hat.
Yeah.
To always see them down there.
Yes.
I mean, they have a great school. Their programs always correlate in between one another. Their workout programs are always top tier. I mean, look at them the last decade.
And that's the thing. Kids that, if you have aspirations of trying to make a run to the Breslin, especially from the Upper Peninsula, you look at Westwood last year. I remember I talked to Luke Gray back in May, and Coach Gray is like, they got people in the weight room as soon as the season's over for both sports, and it's physical training to be able to compete at that high level down especially at the Breslin. Move on to Division 4 semifinals. First game was Forest Park taking on, what is it? Oh no, I'm having a brain cramp here. I can see the uniform. I can tell what the coach's name, Mark Keener. Wyoming Tribune Christian. Once again, poor start.
Yeah,
I think it was 6-0 early on
before a timeout was burned.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And I thought Tri-Unity ran a lot of weak side pick and rolls and took advantage of Crystal Falls locking on the strong side.
Yeah,
I thought that was a key. And the thing is the way Tri-Unity spreads it out is 21's their shooter. He had 2 yesterday at the end of the D final to kind of like, finalize it. He was so they ran the set. You have pick and roll on the right side, and then you have him in the corner, the shooter, with the other 2 kind of spaced out on the front. So your weak side helps. So if the pick and roll, they have the kick here, and then obviously you have to scramble and switch down if that happens. But they ran that very effectively. I think it took advantage of Crystal Falls' defensive scheme initially, and they got out to a good start. And once again, they have a good little guard, number 4. That's pretty good. And like I said, it looked like Crystal Falls was kind of out of sorts initially after the slow start.
You're right. And, it could take into effect maybe their weak side defense. They're used to that, but with the larger court.
Yeah.
For being Michigan State's court. But no, they locked on the weak side. Wyoming Tri-Unity really capitalized on that in the beginning of the game. And then it just once again, it kind of snowballed. Some missed layups, some missed opportunities by Crystal Falls. And it just, like you had said, it has to be a fast start, or you have to match with them at the beginning of the game to not go into that deficit.
Right. And that's the thing right now is, like the Upper Peninsula teams. Okay, so that was Westwood's. Is that first appearance ever in a semifinal? I think.
Yeah, because I think they only made quarter. I think they went to quarters in both early 2000s.
Yeah, Crystal. I think that's their first semifinal appearance probably since like the mid 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
Kingsford's first ever semifinal appearance. I mean, so you look at the teams they played. Romulus Summit Academy's always had success since, they converted from Romulus, which was a public school that went bankrupt, and they made a charter school out of Romulus. Wyoming Tri-Unity Christian, I think that's his 14th finals appearance he had yesterday. Mark Keener.
He just won his 7th?
Yeah, he won his 7th. And, A&T that Westwood played, you had kids that was around teams that were successful, Flint Beecher, Detroit Pershing, different teams like that. So, they're used to that pressure. And I just think for like the Upper Peninsula teams, that first 4 minutes is crucial, and otherwise you're swimming upstream right away. And that's what happened to Crystal. Wyoming Tri-Unity, I'm not a big fan, but they are tremendously efficient offense.
They are. They know what they run.
They're patient. Mm-hmm. They have good shooters. They know where the shooters are. They do so many good things offensively. The big guy is pretty active. Their little guard number 4, I thought was like the best player on the floor for 2 games.
He should have gotten at least, a second team nomination, because I know the D Zone and the MHSA kind of does a
they're all tournament team.
Oh yeah, they're all tournament team.
Yeah.
And for him being in D, I mean, obviously, I can't say he's better than.
Oh, he's not.
But for the composure and the competitiveness and the knowledge that he knows and the role that he plays is what really lights that team on fire.
Yeah. It's just, I mean, even when they beat Crystal Falls, they shot 75% in the first half, 15 to 20. I mean, it's just,
and
that's efficiency.
Mm-hmm. And that shows right there. I mean, for the UP schools, the lack of experience to make it down there, now that you did make it down there.
Yeah.
That coach is so aware of what needs to happen.
Right.
What the agenda should be, what the schedule is. And, I can attest to this for me being in high school. When I was a sophomore, we lost in states to Hudson. And in football, and next thing you know, I know we lost in quarterfinals, but when we made it back to states when I was a senior, we already had a feel for it.
Right.
And that does benefit more. Understand.
Yeah. And that's the biggest thing. Second game was Allen Park
Inner City
Baptist against Fowler. Fowler was just bigger and stronger and more physical. You could see it 5 minutes into the game. It was going to be a tough run. I think they had like 12 offensive rebounds at the half. And they kind of controlled the game and dominated it. And they moved on to the finals to play Wyoming Tri-Unity Christian. That's about all I can say about that game. Is just the physical mismatch, in my opinion.
Quite a different perspective from Fowler for the semis to the finals, though.
Yeah.
They kind of fizzed out, whether it was pressure,
right?
But they were a tale of 2 games.
It was. Division I semifinal was East Lansing taking on Orchard Lake St. Mary. Trey McKinney's last game before he goes to Michigan. Shout out Michigan fans. I think he's going to do pretty well there.
I'll start out by saying this on this game.
Yeah.
If you want to know what true physicality of a basketball game is, go back to that game and watch it. I mean, how many bodies were on the ground? How many non-calls were there? I mean, it was a football game.
It was a football game. It was very physical. Orchard Lake St. Mary gets out to a 10-0 run, and I thought East Lansing just kind of beat them up for the next,
They did.
26 minutes of the game. And it's like, you think about it, they outscored them like, I think 49-31 after that 10
Yes.
I mean, so they just kind of physical them. I mean, East Lansing was active. They're just tough kids. I just love their physicality. I love how scrappy they are. I felt nothing deterred them in the game. If there's a call that didn't go their way or a missed layup or anything like that, they continued to just grind the game out. And, eventually they took the lead. And I thought once they took the lead, looking at the body language of Orchard Lake St. Mary, I was like, this game's over.
The last time out.
Yeah, the last time they all walk back to the huddle and I'm like, yeah, this game's over. Yeah. But yeah, so East Lansing moved on. They played yesterday at 1:00, and then they played
Wayne
Memorial, who beat
Carmen,
who beat Marquette. Carmen Ainsworth wasn't bad, but once again, it's guard play, and the kid from Wayne Memorial. Why would I say Warren? Oh, because of Warren Lincoln.
Yeah.
He went on a heater in the second quarter.
He did.
Yeah. He went on a heater in the second quarter. It was like, holy cow.
And they were just all guard play. That was their problem in the finals.
Yeah. Yeah. It was all guard play. Their bigs didn't do much, but yeah, they went on a heater in that one. And it was like, once he went on the heater, it was tough. Carmen Ainsworth, it looked like it was just tough to manufacture points at times. I thought Wayne Memorial was very good defensively, especially on the perimeter in that game. And yeah, it just kind of gave Carmen Ainsworth fits. Carmen Ainsworth had a couple nice kids. 10 was a nice kid. But besides, I just thought, Wayne Memorial was just better.
Oh, by far.
Yeah.
And that was another game of kind of a tale of two games for them from the semis of the finals.
Yeah. Moving on. So then we had I always want to say Class B, Division 2 semifinal. Kingsford and Romulus Summit Academy. And to summarize this game, one of my friends texted me about Summit Academy and said, this is like watching Westwood in the 80s with Irv with a little better athletes. They were so patient offensively, and it's the same thing. It's the start of the game. I think it was 8-0 again. And Kingsford's behind 8-0, and it's a big moment for the Kingsford kids. And I thought, the one thing I will give Kingsford a lot of credit for, those kids played hard.
They fought. They fought till the end.
They battled the whole game. There was no quit. There was no, we're out of this. I mean, they battled.
He's on the ground. They were going at it.
Yeah, till Coach Olson finally pulled him out with like a minute left, and that was the finality of it. But
yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, but Romulus just got up. They make you play defense. Their ball pressure caused so many problems for Kingsford getting into their offense initially. I think Kingsford finally figured it out, halfway through the third quarter. We can go north and south against this ball pressure. Our guards are a little more physical.
Yep.
And we can get to the hole and make some things happen. I thought the beginning, though, was just the game, because even when Kingsford ran a nice possession, no one wanted to shoot in the first. I remember sitting by the fans like, shoot! It's like, but Kingsford all in all defended really well. If this was a football game and they had ball possession, I bet you Romulus had ball possession for probably
65 to 70%.
Yeah, I would say at least 20 minutes, 20 to 12. I mean, they ran some long possessions, and their guards were so good at attacking and getting to the hole, and it's just
the ball reversals for them were
the ball reversals, the move, and they passed the ball well. Because this weekend, I will say this, there was a lot of one-on-one shit going on at times. I'm just like, really,
it was kind of nice to see a team be able to spread it out, space it out, get some good ball reversals and rotations, and execute. Obviously, we don't want that team to do it. We want Kingsford.
We wanted Kingsford to do it, and but yeah, it was it was, it was what it was. But I mean, Kingsford, I thought the effort was there. Just a little more, execution offensively early on, and I think that could have been a decent game. 10 o'clock. I mean, the finals were all kind of blowouts for the most part.
Yeah.
Tri-Unity handled Fowler once again, bad start. I don't think they had 2 3-pointers. I think that's their only 2 field goals in the first 12 minutes of the game.
Yeah, I can't recall what their 3-point percentage was. All I can recall one of their starters, I don't think made a shot.
Yeah.
And he shot it over 12 times.
Yeah.
So I mean, when the ball doesn't go in, that's not good. When the ball doesn't go in a state final, that's really not good.
Yeah. Second game, Wayne Memorial had a great start. Carlos Medlock Jr., same guy that went nuts on Friday's semifinal game, started out hot. Had a great game to start out with. They're up 16-12, and then East Lansing, I think, scored the next
21
points. And even in the third quarter, and Cody, okay, here's another stat about the Kingsford game. Go back. In the second and third quarter, in the last minute, they are outscored 10-0.
Yes.
I mean, so these end of quarters. So you go to, let's fast forward it to the Division I finals. Wayne Memorial cut it to like 6 or 8, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And East Lansing scored like 10 points in the last minute and a half. And the next thing you know, it's 52-34. The game's over.
Yep. No, there was some missed opportunities within the last quarters of the second and the third for Kingsford. And the ball pressure, just a couple turnovers, and pretty unfortunate because if you do the math, you're now within single digits.
Yes.
And now all of a sudden, we're hanging with them, and things can change quite quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. So then you had, in each of these games, each of these final games, there's runs. Okay. You had the Division III, which was Ann Arbor, Gabriel Richard, and Pontiac Arts and Technology. And there was I think there was a 16-4 run at the end of the second quarter that moved that one out as well. And
how do you take on the run, and how do you challenge the run?
The run, and all and that's the thing. It's like these final games, these semifinal games, these big tournament games, as a coach, you're trying to eliminate the run. I think Coach Gray in the Westwood game used 3 timeouts in the first quarter. I mean, he was trying to band-aid this thing, and get it to halftime. And it's just that run happens. And, especially on that stage, it's just, I think the stage for these kids in the I think you're thinking 15-point shot. I need that 15-point shot to get me into the game. But Gabriel Richard won by 15. They had really balanced scoring. They had Bryce White with 18, Drew Evingham with 16, Solbush with 10. So, they really moved the ball around, created some mismatches in that game. And, they avenged last year. They lost last year. Yeah. So, A&T, they're young. The Hicks brothers, I think, are like freshmen and junior.
Yeah, they're going to be a problem next year.
And then Doug Lovejoy is unbelievable as a freshman. So they're going to be a handful next year. The future's bright for that group. Final game, Class B1. We have a repeat champion, Warren Lincoln. They win it again. They beat Romulus Summit Academy. Watched a little bit this morning. It seems like the same thing. I think there was a big run in that game in the third quarter.
There was,
yeah. So, I mean, these runs that break it out. Warren Lincoln last year, when I watched them last year, I thought they're like the second or third best team I've seen. Orchard Lake St. Mary won it last year, I thought, but watching Warren Lincoln, I'm like, they could give a lot of A's a run.
They could. They could. They very well could.
Yeah. So they, they defended really well in that game. A lot of these teams, it's like an interesting dynamic. The Detroit Public Schools used to be like the dominant factor in Division I and Division II, and now with the invention of the charter schools, a lot of these charter schools are taking on
talent from other schools, maybe some schools that financially funded properly in the Detroit area.
Yeah. The one thing I will say, the Warren Lincoln Detroit Catholic Central game is like a dream game for me.
Yeah.
43-39. It's like perfect basketball for me. Just physical 1990s NBA, you know. I was like, oh, this is going in the, you know, the Library of Hall of Fame for me, you know. But I think, you know, a game like that for Warren Lincoln in the semifinals, you know, when you're playing, because I mean, you know, these Catholic schools, they're very well coached, they're very well in, you know, they're well shaped. You know, all these kids are in the lifting program and different things like that. You know, it's a physical game for Warren Lincoln, and I think that in the semifinal really helped them prepare for Romulus in the finals.
I'd agree. Yeah. And it's almost something to look at. I mean,
yeah.
I understand from the Upper Peninsula, it is ref differently.
Yeah.
You know, you kind of wish up here that it would be kind of converted a little bit more to a little bit more physicality.
Yeah.
Especially for the teams that think that they have the opportunity or the chance to make a triple over the bridge.
Yeah. It's, you know, the hand checking, you know, in the Upper Peninsula, they call it the hot stove rule, essentially. I mean, watching the A finals yesterday with East Lansing and, you know, Wayne Memorial. I mean, the hand checks, they would put them on. There's no hot stove. The stove was not hot. You know, and then, you know, sometimes the officials called it, but I thought the officiating this weekend was pretty good for the most part.
The only one was
the second Division I game.
Going from the first A to the second A was like, it was pretty much going from East Lansing weather to UP weather.
Yeah, it was. 10 inches of snow. But yeah, Warren Lincoln graduates Marcus Blackwell, so they're gonna have a lot to replace for next year. You know, but you know, the talent base in that area is huge. You never know what you're gonna get as far as an eighth grade. I mean, like Trey McKinney coming to Orchard Lake St. Mary I mean, he was there for 3 years. He was at the finals. Sophomore, junior, and senior, 1 and 2. But he was there 3 years, so you never know what's going to happen. You know, I think Michigan basketball is slowly coming back to where it was. There was a peak time where it was like elite, and I think it's slowly coming back right now as far as the high school. But yeah, it was a great year. Congratulations to all the boys teams. You know, Westwood, Kingsford, and Crystal Falls on great runs. It's awesome to see you guys at the Prez, and hopefully we see another group next year.
Use it as fuel. Yeah. I mean, it's when you get a taste of it, if you have that competitive nature, you know, it's going to drive you through the summer workouts. It's going to drive you to even call out some other players who might be on the fence to get in the weight room, to get in the gym, you know, to have that convincing and have that leader role that you want to make it back there. And especially just to see the showing for 3 UP teams. Not only that, but you know, shout out to the showing of the fans, supporting fans of the schools, supporting fans of just the UP coming down there. We've seen quite a few of those.
Kingsford fan base was unbelievable.
Kingsford was good.
Yeah.
Crystal Fall showed up very well. Yeah. Well, Westwood had 2 fan buses come down, I believe.
Yeah. It was great to see. And the whole thing is, especially our message to Upper Peninsula players and teams, it's like, your off season starts today. It's today. I mean, you follow on X, like the D Zone, State Champs Network, and that these kids are going to start playing like AAU ball in probably 3 weeks.
Yeah,
you know, the kids, these downstate kids are going to be in tournaments in, you know, Detroit, Saginaw, Grand Rapids, whatever. And their summer league starts. I mean, it's a passion, you know. And it's great to be a multi-sport athlete, but I mean, put the phone down,
log off the Xbox,
and shoot 100 shots a day, and work on what you think your weakness is, and you know, you can aspire to go to that next level. We have girls basketball this week. It's weird just having the boys
first.
Yeah, it is so weird. Locally, Gladstone, they made it to the quarterfinals with a big win over Fremont. They play Frankenmuth the home of the Christmas year-round. Bronner's Christmas. I actually stayed there at the Bavarian Village.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Good chicken there. Great chicken. Kingsford with Lily Johnson's always a threat to win this game, to win. Games at Sheboygan High School on Tuesday. Hopefully it's not a snowstorm. That's going to be Wednesday. Yeah. Frankenmuth beat Portland to move on to the semifinals. I'm trying to look to see if there's any like opponents. Frankenmuth has beaten Orchard Lake St. Mary's, which is a private school, which is pretty good. Bay City John Glenn. So I think Kingsford's going to have their hands full, but if you have Lily Johnson on your roster, you always can. You always have.
You can make something work. You can make something out.
Yeah. In Class or Division 3, Class C, whatever you want to call it, Calumet is in that bracket. They moved on. They won against Manton handily on Wednesday, 64-39. Calumet beat Menominee in the the regional semifinal. They play Sanford Meridian at Manistee on Tuesday at 7:00. So if you're locally around there, that'll be a fun game to get after.
Pack her up.
Sanford Meridian is the Mustangs, which I like their logo a lot. Great logo.
A little Southern Methodist in them.
Yeah, they beat Roscommon in the regional finals 36-27. They're 26-4. Looking for if they have any common opponents. Probably not. Freeland, they lost to Freeland 50. Yeah, so they lost to Freeland, who I think Gladstone played.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Calumet moves on. They had 1 year off, and they're back in the mix. Back in the mix. Every year they're in the mix. It's because they have no women's hockey. That's why. The poor boys' sports have to split between hockey and basketball, but you usually don't.
Take your pick.
Yeah. Division 4, St. Ignace will play Ewan Trout Creek, which I think is going to be the best quarterfinal
showing between both teams.
Yeah, I think of the UP teams, I think this is like the best one. Saying this, both teams were young last year.
Mm-hmm.
Both lost to Ishpeming and Ishpeming's run. Ewan Trout Creek, kind of learned from that, as did St. Ignace. Both teams are 25-1 going into it. You have great coaches, Coach Bessinen, Coach Ingalls. I think this is kind of a must-see TV quarterfinal, in my opinion. And that one, I do believe, is in Negaunee. No, it's at Gladstone.
Gladstone.
So, yeah, if you can't make it to Manistee, go to Gladstone. I think that's going to be a great quarterfinal. And the winner will play the winner of Byron Center, Zion Christian, and Concord. But, yeah, that one I think is the 2C game as far as girls basketball. And we'll probably come back on Wednesday and talk about it.
Yeah, right after those. Absolutely, last week.
Yeah. We got to talk college basketball.
Yes.
We have to talk college basketball.
Before we do talk a little college basketball, I want to give I know we do some shout outs, but since we were down in East Lansing, shout out to TJ Kelly. You had met him at the intermissions from the state champs.
Yes. He's the basketball writer head for State Champs Networks, and if you watch your little blips on YouTube, they have like their little football games, basketball games. It's great. It's like there's a little highlight package that kind of summarize everything. But yeah, hats off to him. It was fun to talk to him.
Yeah. We got a shout out for the podcast just because even you would talk to him more so, but he attested that there isn't very much coverage for the Upper Peninsula sports.
No. College basketball, Duke has to be overall number 1 seed.
As much as everybody else wants.
Auburn's lost 3 out of 4. Lost to Tennessee. They lost to Bama. They lost to Texas A&M, which is now not looking like a great loss. I think that they are. I think Duke's got to be the overall number one. The thing with, they have this presumption because Auburn won the SEC that they're overall number one. But I mean, if Florida wins today in the SEC,
good definitive probability,
they have a better record than Auburn and a head-to-head win. Houston's got 4 losses. Houston has 1 loss since like December.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like this presumption that they're the overall number one seed. I do not understand at all. I'll be honest, I've never been so excited for college and March Madness to start. I hate the play-in games. Hate. If anyone from a play-in game ever makes it to the Final Four, I will never watch college basketball again. I will swear it off. I'll watch curling. I'll watch hockey. Bowling, pickleball. I just don't get the waste of time that I have to sit there on a Tuesday. That I have to get my bracket done on Monday because of the play-in games. And yeah, I just don't get it. But Duke has to be the overall number one.
Yeah, especially with what has occurred.
Yeah, does State drop to a 3 or are they a 2?
I think they're a 3.
They're a 3. So I would go Duke. If Florida wins today, Houston, Auburn. My 2s would probably be St. John's, Tennessee, Bama.
Yeah.
Maybe Michigan State. Are they?
I would rather have Michigan State be a lower seed.
Yeah.
Like, I can't.
Make them a 6.
Because I don't understand this State team because they were better they're technically player for player were better.
Yeah.
They lost their 3 best players last year. And now it's like this year, it's just a grindy, defensive minded Spartan team.
Yeah.
Like that Izzo loves.
It'll be interesting to see if the committee falls to the ratings mob and Carolina gets in and Indiana gets in. Like Carolina should not get in.
No, they shouldn't. And that's not saying as Duke fans. It's just if you look at the quad 1 wins, they have 1 quad 1 win, I think.
Yeah, 1 quad 1 win. They lost to Duke without
on a lane violation.
With
a lane violation.
Cooper flags out. And yeah, I just don't. Indiana, I have more of a case because they beat Michigan State at Michigan State. That's a big win. But yeah, it'd be interesting if they bow to the mob and have teams that have fans that travel and get high ratings on TV enter the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you think the winner of the Big Ten today will get a 2 over Sparty then? Because that would be my only.
Michigan won't.
So it would have to be.
If Wisconsin wins, they could get a 2.
Okay.
Yeah. If Wisconsin wins, they could get a 2, in my opinion. Michigan's not going to get a 2. Michigan could get up to like the 4 line, maybe the 3 line. But I think if Wisconsin wins, they'll get they could get a 2. Yeah, Wisconsin's record is.
I think they got 6 losses, 5 losses.
Yeah, Wisconsin is 26-8.
Oh, they got more. So actually,
yeah,
Iowa State should be.
They should get a 2.
Yeah.
If Tennessee wins, I think Tennessee gets a 2, and that kicks State out. I do believe, in my opinion,
okay,
to a 3,
which I'd be okay.
Yeah,
the lower seed, the better a State team can be.
Yeah, exactly. Izzo probably wants a 14. Give me a 14. Yeah, I think Florida's like legit though. I mean, they've blown out Alabama twice now.
It's odd. It's odd to see. You have all the buzz of the SEC. It's Auburn. NATO. NATO. It's Alabama with their guards shooting. And then, Tennessee kind of make a run. Florida's been dominant this whole year. They haven't really gotten they're pat on the back.
Well, they got blown out at Tennessee, and I think that like turned off a lot of voters and a lot of college basketball insiders. But they've blown out Bama twice.
Mm-hmm.
Twice. They blew out Bama at Bama. That was 2 weeks ago, or a week and a half ago when I was down in Lansing for work. And then yesterday it was a 2-point game, and they ended up winning by 22. They beat Auburn at Auburn. I mean, I think they're a 1 even if they lose today.
I would think so, just because Auburn's leaking oil.
Yeah. So Duke at So I'd go Duke, Houston, Auburn, Florida if Florida loses. If Florida wins, it's got to go Duke, Houston, Florida, Auburn.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, Auburn would still be a 4, the last 4, because I don't see anybody else.
Yeah. So I'm excited. Brackets come out tonight. Any listeners that want to text us a bracket, we're going to read everyone's bracket online. We're going to have a little contest.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to have a little contest. So if you want to send me a picture of your bracket, we'll read it online. Probably Wednesday. You don't have to do the play-in games because they don't count. Don't count. I'm going to be watching the girls' quarterfinals on Tuesday. I'm not watching the play-in games. Yeah, they don't count. Of course, we can never go a show without talking about football. And the path of the circle of completion is almost complete for Aaron Rodgers.
I want
The
it.
cycle of life, putting on that Vikings jersey at a press conference at the end of March. But knowing him, he's going to make it about him. So he'll probably do it the night of the Final Four on a Saturday or something. He'll be like, yeah, I'm just going to go him. You know, the Minnesota Vikings have called a press conference at 6:30, right before tip of Auburn Duke or whatever, it's going to be. The cycle of life is coming through. And Jordan Love, your fate's inevitably made for you already. I can't wait till you sign with the Jets in 7 years. You're going to be a Jet. And then you're going to last 2 years because they're still going to stink. They're going to be 6-10.
They'll go through 4 quarterbacks within that time period.
Yeah. J.J. McCarthy will get hurt. You'll go to the Vikings. The thing, Bryce Underwood from Michigan will be the quarterback at the Vikings. You're going to go there because he got hurt. And you're going to sign. And then the next quarterback to the Packers draft, whoever that's going to be, Cade Klubnik next year. He's going to do the cycle of life. He's going to be a Jet in 2037. He's going to be a Viking in 2039.
At least, well, the thing is, I'll at least give Favre some credit. At least, I think he went 500 in New York.
Oh, they should have made the playoffs. He hurt his arm.
Yeah.
They're like 7-4. They just beat the Patriots on a Thursday night. And then he hurt his arm. He never told anyone because, he's Brett Favre. And they lost like 3 of the last 4 or something like that. Or 4 of the last 5, and they ended up being 8-8. But yeah, he was good. He was really good in Minnesota until the Saints tried taking his legs. The Bounty Gate.
I could see Rodgers actually going to Minnesota. I don't think Rodgers can be controlled in Pittsburgh. I don't think Tomlin. That's not.
Come on, him and Tomlin nose to nose. Snow coming down. Cleveland's up 16-3 on the third quarter on the Amazon.
Cleveland. It's got to be someone else.
Amazon Prime Thursday night. And Rodgers with his Steelers chook nose to nose with Tomlin after Tomlin running on a 3rd and 4. Ran a draw on a 3rd and 12. Ran a draw on a 3rd and 12. I can't wait to see that.
But I would think that Minnesota's coaching staff would give him a little more leeway.
Oh, I agree.
It is surprising though how inaccurate NFL media is.
Oh,
it is. When was it 2 weeks ago or a week ago? There were reports that Rodgers is not mentoring in any way, shape, or form, and then he actually did a presser a couple days ago saying that this was when he was still on the Jets.
Yeah.
I would be more than willing to help a mentor whoever. However, I want to play well enough to where I'm not letting him give up or not let him take my job.
Right.
But I'm more than willing to mentor the hell out of him.
Yeah.
So the NFL media, get your.
Well, so this is my problem with this whole thing. He was great last year. He was. His stats were fabulous. They couldn't stop anyone. The receivers couldn't catch anything.
Mm-hmm.
He was fine. It's like he had a couple games like I thought at the end of late in the game he wasn't good. But all in all, he was if you'd have said to Pittsburgh last year, your quarterback's going to be, 39 touchdowns, 16 interceptions, have a passer rating of whatever, they would have said, "Oh, right, I don't have Russell Wilson to deal with. I don't have, But it's just amazing to me. And the other thing is amazing to me is how bad this draft is. How bad this quarterback draft is where Justin Fields is getting $40 million.
You'll know this better than I will, but is this the most panic you've ever seen?
Yes.
Before an NFL draft?
Like Sam Darnold going to the Seahawks just reeks of bust.
Reeks of bust.
It does. It does. It reeks of bust. Justin Fields starting for the Jets. I mean, what are they going to go single wing? I mean,
maybe it'll work.
It might. It's the panic. Geno Smith got a third round pick. A third round pick. Yeah, it's just like,
But even how clueless are some of these GMs? Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Prime example. You're telling everybody you want a first round pick for Hendrickson. Everybody in the NFL knows you can't pay everybody who you need to pay.
Right.
We're not giving you. I mean, there's reports where teams are laughing at a first round pick for him.
But I'll argue with this draft is so bad that a first round pick in this draft is probably the equivalent of a second round in a good draft.
You're right. I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm disagreeing with Cincy's front office saying we don't have any leverage.
Yeah.
Because if we don't sign him or restructure some things, they're screwed.
Yeah.
I agree completely that
they needed to sign him and then put him on the market.
Yes.
It's kind of like, they needed to sign, that's where some of these teams sign them and they say, we need to get rid of them, like Devontae Adams, different things like that. But no, this is just the,
I think he's going to go to two more teams before he retires. You seem like the roulette, Devontae Adams is at the roulette table of receivers.
He's like the Robert Ory in the NBA. He played like 20 teams, I think. Or no, Christian Laettner was the worst. Christian Laettner, I think, had like 13 teams.
Oh, really?
In the NBA, yeah. But yeah, the panic, and this is a draft. If you're drafting up top, I mean, I would bail. I mean, what do you think of? I would bail. I mean, unless you think Cam Ward's the deal. I'm not sold on Shedeur. I'm not sold on Jackson Dart. I'm not sold on Kyle McCord. I'm not sold on Will Howard.
If there was one that you had to pick, who would it be?
Jackson Dart.
Okay.
Besides Cam Ward. Yeah, I like Jackson. I think Lane is so good at system. Besides the Florida game when he was an absolute disaster, I thought Lane was, I thought he was really good. He had a great pro day or a great combine.
Mm-hmm.
I think, Jackson Dart's but it's the panic, and it's like, you look at like the Jets, the Raiders getting Geno Smith. They're all looking like as a stopgap for 2 years.
These are all bandages.
Yeah. This is 2 years of, okay, let's just make the playoff 2 years, even if we're a wild card, even if we're a 7.
Be competitive, stay on the
staff. Happy. Yeah, make our fans happy.
Stay on the staff.
And then in 2 years, when the quarterback class is great, we're gonna get one.
Yes.
It's an interesting dynamic. The NFL, I mean, let's be candid. I like the offseason as much as I like the regular season.
I like the regular season a little more, just because you hear so many stories that could or could not. But I know where you're coming from. I know Philly's got to be out favorites for next year, but who do you even have for your pre-draft
Free draft.
Underdog, or just a team that you might think could at least make it. I wouldn't say win it, but just at least make it from their conference.
If the Rams draft a good wide receiver in the draft, I have the Rams.
Okay.
I think that McFay. Did you see him squatting the other day?
No, I didn't.
He squats like a lineman.
What?
Yeah.
Coach.
Yeah. It was on X. He had like rack on both sides. I'm like, geez.
He's a little motivation for the team.
No, I like the Rams a lot. I'm curious to see what Green Bay does. I still think that they're so young that they can be really good.
They can catch.
They can catch. I would like them. I would try to get a T Higgins or something like that. Yeah, I would say the Rams. I think the Eagles are just gonna have the hangover.
You think so?
Yeah, I do.
I think that they're just so above shoulders to everybody.
The
I think
Rams,
Kansas City is going to absolutely collapse.
the Rams were one drive away from winning that thing.
I know.
In a snowstorm.
You're not wrong there. I'm just thinking that just pound for pound, they're good. They're not the underdog, but non-Philly.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see the Chargers, like an actual full year of Harbaugh.
Well, the thing with the Chargers is they have no explosive players, in my opinion.
No, they don't. But it's
every drive's a grind, and
neither did Michigan.
Yeah. No, they need that. They need someone to open up, take the top off the field. In my opinion, someone that they can, Herbert can just unleash one once a quarter and say, let's do that. I like San Diego. I think the Broncos are going to be really good next.
Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah. Broncos.
A year of Bo Nix, defensively they're pretty good last year. I want to see what they do. Because I'm not dissing the draft. I'm dissing the draft for the quarterbacks.
Just the quarterback? I mean, not even Abdul for ankles being the projected number one. I mean, I know he's a freak.
But I think Walker's going to be really good from Georgia.
Yeah.
I think Ashton Junty's going to be pretty good as a running back, whoever gets him.
Who's projected?
For what?
To get Genty.
It was Dallas, and then it moved to... Oh, who was it? They took him at 10, I thought, the last time I looked. Yeah.
Okay.
No, I think there's some players. Abdul Carter, obviously. There's some players, but I think the two kids from Georgia, the two edge rushers, are the best ones, in my opinion.
You're right on that.
No,
I do want the curse to be broke.
What's that?
The Buffalo curse.
I do too. They got to get better defensively.
Well, they just signed Bosa. I know they just let go of Miller, but
yeah, they just got to get better defensively, in my opinion. They're just not good defensively. So, yeah. So that's our NFL. No college spring games. Everyone's canceling them. That's just weird.
Yeah, why is that a new? I seen Sark cancel Texas's.
Yeah, I don't know.
You really not trying to give any film to the NFL?
Well, I think
prelude.
I think because isn't there one more portal window open after the spring games?
Oh, you might be right on.
So I think a lot of these
they're just holding.
They're just holding. They're holding their cards right now. They're not putting them at the table. Yeah, it's just a weird dynamic because I used to watch them. I remember watching them. Yeah, ESPN. I was like,
there's a couple fights for Ohio State ones even. I'm not even an Ohio State fan.
Yeah. But yeah, it's an interesting dynamic that, and Northern's actually scrimmaging someone for their spring game. It's like another team's coming to town. I seen it on Twitter.
Okay, interesting.
X. So I think we're gonna come back Wednesday. Check us out on Spotify. Check us out on YouTube. Check us out on Twitter, X,
Facebook,
MySpace. AOL.com.
Email goingfor2review@gmail.com. Toph, any final shout outs?
I'm going to give a shout out to Coach Magnuson, the Northern basketball team. Tough loss yesterday. They beat Tech in the final of the GLIAC. They had a great win up in Houghton. It's tough. And shame on the committee for having Tech and Northern play 10 hours away from the UP in Springfield, Illinois. I mean, reseed it so that doesn't happen. Please. It just makes no sense. I felt bad for Northern. I mean, you know how it is.
Both teams.
Yeah, both teams. But Northern, you just played them last Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're, road trip, play the same team Saturday. I just didn't think it was fair. So shout out to Coach Mazak. Shout out to Coach Bittner and Michigan Tech. Big game today against Lake State at 6:00. Go Huskies. Everyone knows I'm a Husky guy. Graduated from there, believe it or not. Hey, miracle strike. So that's my shout out today. What about you, Cody?
My shout out actually just goes, it's always nice to see the showings down in East Lansing at the Breslin when there's UP teams that go down there. The followings of the fans, the parents, local school or the local school, neighboring schools, and just people who like to come down there from the UP to cheer on. It's just nice to go there and see familiar faces and just to see the investment and the commitment that, they want to witness something that doesn't happen very often.
Right.
So, shout out to all of you guys that went down there to support Crystal Falls, Westwood, and Kingsford. It's needed.
Yep, it's needed. Kids need support. It's an experience that they'll never forget, regardless if you win or lose. So, glad the fans could be a part of it. So, we'll be back on Wednesday night. We'll have a recap. We'll do some brackets. We'll have a recap of the girls' quarterfinals. We'll go from there. I think it'll be a great podcast. I'm excited for the brackets. I'm excited to see Cody and I both having Duke winning it all. It'll be awesome.
I got to pick a different team. Yeah. We both can't have it. We'll lose.
Yeah. All right. Have a great week. Avoid the snow. Stay warm. It was 75 degrees in Lansing yesterday. This is pathetic. Have a great week, everyone.
Bye.
With Cooper.